Welcome to Orlando.
Good job.
Hey, you want to open your video while you're doing this?
Hi! What do you want me to do? Hi.
Oh, boys.
Welcome to Orlando 1, or round 7 of the Supercross series. It is rainy here. We are running a modified schedule and a modified team. So to start this off, little news is we have Alex Ray out with the coronavirus 19, whatever it is. He tested positive on Tuesday.
Tested negative yesterday.
He tested negative yesterday. He was going to try to fly in, but we couldn't make it all work. But anyway, he will be out this weekend. His mechanic still has chemical pneumonia from welding in a closed-in area. And then Jeremy Smith's mechanic has strep throat, not COVID. So, real watered-down system today. But I brought in a couple of my OGs of Anthony and Jeremy, who left. So that's not an option anymore either. So we'll be good. We'll be good. It's rainy. My Spencer just knocked the wheel off my fucking grill. So that's pretty cool. There's gonna be a little update to the board, the parts board today, and a fun new little way we can do some supporting of your favorite riders and things like that. So I'm excited to see what we can make happen, and we'll try to have some fun as I put on this stupid helmet graphic. We got a lot of wind. We got some potatoes and some sausage, though. The conditions aren't perfect, but they're not bad.
All right, so look. Oh, you want a little char in there? Hold on. It's probably better to hit the propane underneath.
We're out of propane. Sometimes life gives you lemons.
Starting to feel like race day yet?
Yeah, we're getting there. We had the rain let up some, but I'm ready. It's gonna make it for a long day. A lot more prep, a lot more work for everyone involved, so. But
You know, pressure washing?
we do. We don't have any water on the trailer. We lost the pipe in Indy, so, because it froze. Living the dream. So as we mentioned in the,
I didn't put it in.
okay. So as we did not mention in the last vlog, last Saturday my stepbrother passed away suddenly. So we ended up doing a little tribute to him on the front of all the race bikes with his ride number and all that stuff. So this weekend's for him. It's he made it a muddy one though. Like I told you many times, this is a tight crew and I'm a fan of the sport. So the reason why I'm here and doing all this stuff is just because I enjoy it. And I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to make something happen. So I never forget where I came from, and we keep on trucking along with that stuff.
Rod Bill's, did he break anything when he crashed in the LCQ?
I don't know. Yeah, he did. They had to update it. It hasn't been updated.
Okay.
I think some of the parts are right there. Hey, but speaking of that, you want to go right into it?
Into the board?
Yeah, we'll go into the board.
Yeah, let's do it.
Since the riders truly can't control how much money they spend, you know, I mean, normally it's accidents and tip overs, and you know, they're not trying to fall. So it's not like they can do something different to change their price. I feel like we had to have a way for them to lower their price. And I have come up with using any type of merchandise sold from the SGB Racing merchandise store online. When you put in the comments section of what rider you want to support, I will take that amount of money off their total. And we'll update it each week to see who sold the most during the week. So now we can show you guys the other half of the actual marketing side. So we have the cost side, which is how much I have to spend for one person on the team. And with this side of it, we can show you the value of each rider's marketing abilities to lower their cost on my team. That's very similar to how the actual race team works. It's, you know, each rider has a reach, and that's what sponsors are looking for. So if they have a reach and they're connecting and promoting their clothing stuff or the company stuff, then we will make money back off of that, which helps us go racing. And I've seen a lot of the YouTubers, watching the VeeLog and supporting it and actually buying shirts and leaving comments that they bought clothing. So it led me to believe that this would be a fun way to get them to lower the board. So go to sgb-racing.com and purchase some merchandise, and we will keep restocking it. We're actually going to do rider tees, where each rider will have their own design on a t-shirt, and you don't have to leave any comments because the person who's, when they buy a rider tee, it automatically deducts it from the board. So we'll have a way to keep track of it, and so when you buy it, make sure you put a comment of which rider you want, and the entire order will go to that rider's total. So technically, if done right, a rider could go negative money and be on the upside. So support your favorite rider, support your program. Let's have some fun with this, and we'll do some giveaways and some merch stuff for the YouTube people, and make it more fun. So we'll start giving away some stuff. I can't give you away chains. I know that was huge, and I threw away a chain, mostly because I wouldn't walk back a mile and a half to the truck in the snow. But just due to liability, I can't give you a chain. If I don't feel confident to keep it on a bike for the rider, then I'm not going to give to somebody I don't know to potentially get hurt or something like that. But we can do some jersey giveaways, some plastic giveaways, and things like that. So let's have some fun, and thank you. Yeah, so mud race. So little silicone-based stuff won't allow as much mud and slime to stick to it, and it kind of washes it off. So that way, while he's racing and qualifying, the weight of the bike should stay as low as it can. And then we'll start doing some other things, like putting some foam in some places to stop it from catching up, and some other little mud tricks that we'll show you as we go on. And well, you can do it at local races because it's simple stuff, and it's not stuff that you have to spend a lot of money on to do. Small things, but yeah, little thing WD-40, just doing underneath, and I do everything. I coat like the wheels, and then after I coat the bike, I don't do anything on the side or on the seat, obviously. But then after that, I then make sure I hit a little brake clean on the discs. That way, if there's any overspray or any drips, you don't have greasy brakes.
And then 2013 is the year I got fourth with bikes.
So another little trick is take like an old inner tube from a tire, cut them in little sections, and then you can stretch these over the foot pegs, and it'll stop the mud from getting caked up into where the spring is and where it returns. So,
guys, on that thing.
I'd be really, really fast with single track on it, but as soon as I got to the motocross track, top speed is like 30 miles an hour. So
It's got it.
still does everything it needs to do,
So
but then keeps
whenever
the,
I upload a video,
and we'll trim it up so that way it stays back in there,
it's always double speed.
and that's it.
Where's the foam going?
We're gonna put this one, I think, on we'll start with the shifter. So I'll zip tie it to the shifter.
It's in there. It's jammed in there.
And then I'll cut these off, and then we'll spin the thing on the backside so that way you can't see the actual doohickey.
It's no tap, but it's solid in there. Or nothing like that.
And that does, it just stops it from mud getting stuck in the axle, and that can mean you can probably put 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of mud in that thing. I feel like every time we talk, I have a torch in my hand. So we're in the confines of my trailer, so I'm not going to wear a mask. But I want to talk a little bit about, I guess we'll go over the background of how this all started. So, as many of you know, I was a Baltimore police officer. Prior to this, I started that in 2008, I guess. My father was a police officer in Baltimore as well. He also raced dirt bikes and got me into it. So my dad and I had a very close relationship. And then 2014, he unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack. Kind of left me a little, I just caught someone on fire. I don't know if you saw that. But I ended up, getting a little, just struggling with it. So we talked every day and things like that. So when I didn't have him here, I was kind of lost and all that stuff. So I started doing I built a track at my house and it worked well, and then it was over with, and it kind of was all right, well, what's next? And I kept going back to that same feeling of I need to occupy my time with something. And police work was fun. So the only thing on dirt bikes I really didn't know how to do was suspension. So just with my mindset, I was like, well, I need to learn that, because if we're gonna do anything, let's do something that we don't know. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm great at everything else in dirt bikes, I'm really not, but I just had a general knowledge of everything else, and I just had zero knowledge of suspension. So I figured I was going to talk to one of my sponsors, which was Race Tech, and I flew out there, and they were real nice to me and treated me like family, and I was out there for quite some time, and they taught me a whole lot of stuff about suspension, and I was able to work with a little bit of the Moto Concepts side of things, actually Vince Freezy, with a lot of testing. It really helped me get that experience of like, okay, not just this is what people are doing with shims, but this is the feedback and reaction that riders are getting with these adjustments. And I think that's, a lot of the suspension companies out there, that's where they lack, is just continuing to test and develop. Suspension's always changing, settings are always changing, but a lot of them are always, and I say that on a smaller scale. Your larger companies are testing constantly, without a doubt. But just your smaller companies are struggling, and I still consider myself one of the smaller companies. I just think that's where I can set myself different from the other small companies. Dad passed away, I couldn't figure out something, so I was going to start a suspension company and name it after him. So SGB is my dad's initials. That's where that comes from. It kind of just got crazy busy. Just my passion and just my hard work. I've got that mindset of that I'm going to put everything else on hold until I accomplish my goals. But unfortunately, the downside of that is I have a family, a wife and kids, and it's tough because I spend a lot of time trying to build and grow this side of my life, and you don't always see them, but they're about as supportive as you can get with me being away all the time, or the wife running the shop or doing things like that, coding runs and whatever it is, so I can be here for a couple extra days and helping this and keep this program alive. I mean, it wasn't like I started the race team when I was young, and it was kind of like something I met my wife. My wife and I met before I was even a police officer. So she's been through that side of it with me. I retired from there with 11 years on in Baltimore. I did an early retirement, so I didn't get a full pension, but I got a partial pension. And I retired in 2019, so not too long ago. And I'm glad I did it. I wish I could go back in some ways, but I helped AJ when he was doing his thing with Moto Tape and Vortex in 2019. It was a pain in the butt for me. The program itself was just loosely ran, and it's just kind of not how I operate. Not saying that ours is the tightest ran, but there was nothing. So I was like, hey AJ, I'll wrench for you for the first 3 rounds. I'll even go to the toolbox, everything a mechanic needs. You're in charge of your own mechanic for the rest of the year. So I did the first 3 rounds. It went well for us. We got everything up and running, but then as the rounds went, he was using other people that he didn't know very well to wrench for him and didn't know any of their experience. So then what was happening was, well, 1, my tools were going missing, and then 2, things were getting stripped out and problems were happening. And then it would turn into him panic calling me the night before a race and being like, hey, my bike is this and that and this and that. And I'm like, AJ, I'm not close. Like, I'm in Maryland, you're at a next race. Like, I can't help you. And it was just, and for me, it's like, I feel responsible for that stuff, and more so than I should. And so then it was like, all right, I'm getting late night flights out and all that stuff. And I was just like, this isn't what I want. So I told him, so I have no problems helping you in the suspension side, but I will not be involved in the mechanic side of it unless it's a full program and it ran my way. And he was like, well, let's run it your way. And I was like, shit. So then that's when the sponsors and the team started, and that's really what it started for, was to help out Jordan Jarvis and AJ Catanzaro. Jarvis I ran the Nationals with, helping her and her dad out when she was on Yamahas in 2019. And then I helped AJ in the Supercross side of 2019. And I did that on purpose to see what it was going to take to do this. Because I've never ran a race team, so I really need to get a little idea on the pro side of it more so than I had. And I learned a lot, and I thought I learned more than I did, I think. But so I started getting sponsors and calling sponsors. And then when you start doing that stuff, it starts snowballing a little bit more out of control than you probably would want it to be. Because sponsors want, obviously, the most bang for their buck, and which means that most of the time they want high caliber riders and high exposure, and they want a whole lot for the least amount of money possible, which is just straight business. It's smart. And when you're negotiating with sponsors on year 1, you don't really know what to expect. it can be tough for sure. So we did it. We made it work. I learned a whole lot, and that's kind of how it went down. So I don't know how long race team's gonna last. It's way more work than people think. It's a lot more money than people think, and there's a lot less support than people think. So I'll keep doing it as long as it's fun and it's enjoyable to do and makes sense for me to do. But we're struggling to get sponsors coming towards the end of this, when it was getting close to the end of 2019 season. So I did a last-ditch effort and tried to build a couple bikes for the straight rhythm. And that was just a whole marketing ploy just to say, hey, I can do it, I can make it work. So I pitched to a bunch of people. It's easier to pitch for a couple people for one race. So I can be like, hey, you can help me out with this one race. And to build that trust and that commitment to level. So we built 4 race bikes, and 3 race bikes and a photo shoot bike with the Pastrana thing, the Grant Langston one, and the David Pingree one. And once we did that, everyone was like, dude, there's no way you can build it 3 bikes in the 1 month I had. And we made it work. And we definitely turned a lot of heads out there. And, you know, the AJ Pastrana, you know, off the track excursion helped us a lot. And just so people were like, okay. So then as soon as I got back, I had emails from the sponsors we worked with, like, hey, I didn't think you could do it, but you did it. Let's go for Supercrawl. So it really helped us boost a little bit more into it. So that was a whole marketing strategy for me. That was a last minute, let me just see if I can make something work. And we made it work, and it worked out. So
basically, if you want to start a race team, just have your rider jump straight off the track and almost into the stands.
It's a good start. We're still struggling with sponsors. Budget-wise, it's as tight as it can get, which means that all of our other sponsors are stepping up more, or the riders are doing more for themselves, and mechanics are doing more for themselves. It's not just like, hey, you make a phone call or you're a pro racer that you're getting free stuff. It doesn't work that way. No foul, Archer. Come on, guys. We try our best to keep as little water on these things as possible, just because of all the electronics of these things nowadays. So they're actually not that filthy. I mean, it's not like it's an outdoor national mud race where everything's covered. It's just into some sort of spots, and it's just muddy. But we use the Risk Racing mud scraper, and it gets us back to where we need to be and make these things happen, man. Like I said, it's not a whole lot. You can see where, like, we put the foam, there's no mud clump. You can see it here where the foam wasn't. But where the foam is, it stayed good. It still moves the way it should because of the road pieces. And so yeah, we did what we needed to do. And bikes are running super hot. I mean, there's actually dust on the track. I mean, if you watch it, there's dust sections. I mean, it's just there's where all the low-lying areas are is slop. So the mechanics area is a nightmare. Everyone looks good. You know, I expect the riders to do good. We're East Coast boys for the most part. So I mean, they ride in these conditions. I know AJ trains at Tomahawk and you know, situations very similar. You notice no mud clumps sticking to this. Well, WD, there's dirt. You can see where it hit. No mud clumps sticking. I don't think he WD'd it his. He's actually got the clumps. So it does make a difference. So we had some fun. We gave away some plastics and stuff to the fans, and that was very enjoyable. I enjoyed that side of it. Everyone looks good in qualifying. I'm ready to go see the light show. I think the track will be decent. By the time they prep it and do everything, it will be good. I don't see any issues, man. I'm ready to go. Come on, song screen. Come on, girl. All right, we're gonna do some recap.
There you go.
Don't be shy. Come on, put your hand up. Relax. We're here with my daughter Lori, wrapping up Orlando, round 7 of the Supercross. It was a it was a good day. It started off with a lot of rain, as you saw, and it turned out to be a decent track, and everyone rode good. Rabel got a really good start in his LCQ. Rode great. He's still learning. AJ was racing and was charging hard, and it looked good, and Smith was consistent. I'm hoping we'll have Alex Ray back next weekend at Orlando 2 at round 8, and we'll have back to our full squad and ready to go. I'm excited. I do appreciate you guys all subscribing and giving us all the love on the YouTube stuff. It's been great, and I've been enjoying doing it. You want to tell them to subscribe to us?
Subscribe.
Oh, yeah, they heard that. Come on, tell them.
Subscribe.
Thank you. You guys have a great one.